Members of the Lakeshore Horse Racing Association have rejected a controversial 19-year funding agreement from the provincial government.
The LHRA and similar associations across Ontario had until Tuesday to sign a contract that basically turns over control of the industry to the Toronto-based Woodbine Entertainment Group.
The Ontario Lottery and Gaming Corporation reached a funding agreement with VEG and then gave all other stakeholders a few weeks to digest a sizable document before the May 1 deadline.
Horsemen at small tracks such as Leamington and Dresden are concerned the funding model isn't enough to sustain them in future years.
"It's an assault on our industry," said Brian Tropia, the general manager of the Ontario Harness Horse Association.
"Our association is not prepared to sign it in its current form. We've asked for more time." Members with LHRA held an emergency meeting Sunday night where they made a similar decision.
"We're trying to do what we think is best," said Mark Williams, president of the LHRA. "We're being pressured to sign this thing. It feels like pressure. We were given this thing at most 3 weeks ago and in many different ways it doesn't suit us." Under its current contract, LHRA gets $35,000 for each of its 13 racing card dates for the next 3 years. After that, the new agreement calls for a new board known as the Ontario Racing Management Board to determine purses at individual tracks.
Tropia said representation on that board weighs heavily in favor of VEG and not the Horsemen operating at the half-dozen smaller tracks in the province.
He said the government is looking to wash its hands of the horse racing industry for the next 20 years so that it can't be blamed for any future track closures.
Tropia said his association was never consulted as the agreement was being crafted and there were no negotiations. "We were presented with the final contract and it was sign it or don't sign it," he said.
Tropia did not know if any other groups associated with the 15 racetracks in the province signed the agreement.
The agreement calls for up to $105 million per year in funding for up to 19 years.
"It is for all tracks with live horse racing, not only VEG," said Tony Bidonti, the OLG senior manager of media relations.
In an email, Bidonti wrote the OLG and the Ontario government have announced a number of funding supports for horse racing in Ontario for the next 2 decades which will help support live racing.
He adds this is $10 million more per year than the industry currently receives.
Williams said Leamington struggles to operate on a $35,000 capped purse per race card.
"We've been struggling along for years now," he said. "We would like some parity with the other race tracks."
Williams would like to see a $65,000 purse per race card but fears a small track like theirs will never get that kind of support under this new contract.
Under the new deal, all video of racing becomes the property of VEG and not the Horsemen.
Horse racing employs approximately 2,000 people locally either directly or indirectly.
"There's a good group of young people who would like to continue making a living in this business," Williams said. "This could be the end for the young folks." Foreground: white, black, red, green, blue, yellow, magenta, cyan, opaque, semi-opaque.
background, white, black, red, green, blue, yellow, magenta, cyan, opaque, semi-transparent, transparent.
Window, white, black, red, green, blue, yellow, magenta, cyan, opaque, semi-transparent, transparent.
Text edge style non-raised depressed uniform drop shadow.
Font family default monospace serif proportional serif monospace sans serif proportional sans serif casual script small caps.